Okay, well, I've got 30 minutes to cover a topic that usually takes me about 4 hours, so we're going to go thoroughly to the highlights and thoroughly to the key points, learning points for you. Community unity, what causes people to tick and stick. In 45 years working in my career, I did a lot of market development and a lot of training. But this is one of the most humorous, most impactful, most enlightening subjects I've ever had the pleasure of learning about and through and being certified to teach it around the country. This particular concept of social style management was developed by Ohio State University. A lot of you may have heard of different courses out there like Myers-Briggs and so on. This is where people go through assessments on what causes them to develop a preference in behavior. The behavior of what they're comfortable in an environment to do and to operate by. Again, what's key, and do not lose sight of this, which is usually the toughest part of this journey together this morning, we're not talking about core values of people, how much they love, how affectionate they are, what motivates them to achieve success. We're not talking about the very inner core of people. What we are talking about is the 4 proven behaviors, social styles, that all of our culture of American people are made up of. And this applies internationally. Studies have indicated there are, again, 4 different behaviors. And we want to talk to you today about what those behavior categories are named and how they operate. The benefit for you to learn these things today and to start paying attention to this is it's going to enable you to work better with people. And the toughest thing about unity is diversity. As soon as we try to approach an organization where there's 2 or more people involved and we're to be united, the first time we disagree with each other, both parties get up and leave. And what today is about is to make sure you understand the real driving components of how to be bigger than diversity by understanding and appreciate these 4 different social styles. So let's start off by defining what causes there to be 4 categories of people behavior. It comes down to 2 questions. How you assert yourself, number 1, and how you respond as number 2. Let's start with assertiveness. Assertiveness is looked to as being the concept of being on the offense. How do you like to go forward and be on the offense to get things done, to assert yourself? Well, there are 2 ways people take, 2 pathways on assertiveness. First is you can be ask assertive, and your only other option, in truth, is to be tell assertive. Now, let's pick on a real simple example. I learned that there's a new movie coming out, and I really want to go. I'm dying to see this movie. Picture yourself in this scenario with me. You want to go to the movie as bad as I do. I come home after a long day of work, and I greet my wife at the door, and I say, what am I most comfortable in doing? Am I most comfortable in being ask or tell assertive? To be ask assertive is my comfort zone of asking people to do things. Hi, honey, how was your day? Oh, fine, she says. How are the kids? Oh, fine, good. Hey, I heard the movie's out we've been waiting for, and what would you think? Would you be in the mood to go tonight, or would you rather maybe wait for the weekend? What would you like? Now that's being ask assertive. Now to be the other way is to be tell assertive. Tell assertive simply says, hey Barb, how you doing? How was the day? Get through it quick. I got something important to tell you. We're going to the movie at 6 o'clock. Get your coat. We're going. Put the food in the fridge. We're going tonight. This is it. Man, it's going to be great. We're going. Those are your 2 options on being on the offense. There's no other. And again, we're defining comfort. What is your approach in being comfort? comforted in how you assert yourself. Now, going to the responsive side, this is kind of like being on the defense. How do you prefer to respond to situations brought to you? You have two choices. You're either task responsive or you're people responsive. Task is the job. Somebody comes up to you and says, hey, I've got an assignment for you. Carl, we need to go to a certain place. We need to get something done, and here's the goal, and here's what you're paid to do. Go do it. Well, if I am a task-responsive person by comfort, I'm going to be concerned about the facts, the figures, the dates, the mandates, what the targeted outcomes are, what the statistics are leading up to it. It's the job. I got to get the job done. I want the job done. I got to get the job done. How do I care for people? How do I care for? I love them all. I need them all. But the way to love people is to make sure we're successful people. We need to protect their incomes, their job opportunities, their job security. I'm a task-driven, responsive person. However, on the other side, if you're more people responsive, you tend to be a lot more relational in responding to a given circumstance. Somebody at church comes up and says, we would like you to organize prayer teams every Sunday, and we need to get together and have at least two, a man and a woman, take special prayer requests at the end of every service. Would you mind heading that up? Well, to be a people-responsive person versus task, I'm going to say things like, well, how has it gone in the past? Have we tried this before? And if so, who was involved? I'd like to get together with them, visit, kind of learn the pros and the cons, how it went. Who do you think would be important to bring into this picture to make sure that we get off on the right foot, to get things going? Okay? That's being a people responsive. Now again, they all want to be successful. They all want to win. They all have the equal capacity for success and love of one another. But how they approach any duty pertains to these answers to these two questions. Okay, so how many, by a show of hands, on the assertive side are ask assertive? Be honest now. I'm more comfortable asking people than telling. I'm comfortable. I can tell, but I don't like it. Okay, how many, by show of hands? Ask? Ooh, quite a few. I would say, 80%. Okay, you tell people out there. Yeah, I'm a tell. I admit, I'm a tell. Okay, how many are task-driven? Task responsive. The job. Get the job defined and done by the numbers, dates. Do not be a minute late. Ooh, really? Okay. Task. How many are people responsive? Let's make sure no one gets hurt. Everybody in the loop? Let's hold hands. We're going to sing Kumbaya. Okay. How many? That's good. Okay. All right. About half and half. All right. You want to know who you're called? You want your titles? Here we go. The people who are ask assertive but task responsive are called analyticals. Analyticals. These people are very deliberate. They go by the numbers. They want to be safe, take low risks. They don't take the social initiative. They're very calm, collect, lots of reports, stacks of reports. You can never have enough. Very important, okay? Again, that's the ask assertive, task responsive. Next, the drivers. Okay, these are the tell task people. These are high risk takers. They're comfortable in taking charge. They just want you to know who's in charge. Me. But they're not doing it for fame and glory. They're doing it to win, but they like to be denoted as the boss. Don't waste their time. They're very quick. They're very forward. We think of presidents we've had in the past. When our country's in need of bold leadership, fixing broken things, who do you get and who do we elect? A driver. Ronald Reagan was probably one of the most notable in our era of memory. Okay? So that is your tell task person, drivers. Next, expressives. Now these are the tell people, but believe it or not, they're the people responsive. These are your motivators. These are the people who are highly excited about getting things done. And we do it to have fun and to enjoy the journey. And not only all those things, but we want to win as a team. We're into team dynamics. These are the motivators, the people who talk with their hands. You ever meet any of those at dinner? You know, they tip over the lemonade and everything, telling you a great story. Okay? But they're the motivators, the great speakers, the people who get the team off their rear end and moving. Very important. And then finally, the final are the amiables. The amiables are ask assertive and people responsive. These are what we call the hugging teddy bears of society. They are soft, neutral in a lot of things. They don't take initiatives. They like to take their time. They like to be comfortable and make sure everyone is holding hands. And in the form of consensus, let's work together under consensus to be all together on the outcome. Okay? So there are your 4 titles. Let's see who's changed their mind. How many people are analyticals? Any analyticals out there? Okay, 3? 2.5. I see a half a hand. 2.5. That's okay. 3.5. All right. Anyone out there bold enough to call themselves a driver? I'm driving this wagon. Enjoy the ride. Okay. Okay, couple. How about expressives? We got any expressives out there? The people that like to smile and giggle and get people happy? All right. Keith, all right. Very 2. Good, good. And finally, how many are amiables? 1, 2, 3. Okay, good. Well, either I'm doing a real good job or you're really honest, because that's a pretty good division. Typically, when I ask this question, people will say, I'm an amiable. I'm an amiable. And it was very interesting. My boss, who's an amiable, John King, and his wife Marilyn, were out on a vacation with Barbara and I in Spokane a few years ago. And as we're driving toward Portland, John says, Carl, you got to talk to Marilyn about social styles. I want her to hear this story. I mean, this is such a fascinating topic. She goes, yeah, I've heard John talk about it. How do you do it? So I went through this discussion with her. I'm driving, looking in the rearview mirror at her, and she's looking at me, and we're driving down I-90, heading for Portland. And I got through everything, and she goes, I know who I am. I said, okay, Marilyn, who are you? And she goes, I'm an amiable. And John, her husband, sitting next to her, goes, that's hilarious. You're an amiable. She says, one more giggle out of you, and I'm going to prove I'm an amiable. You get the point? Everybody thinks by this early on exposure to this education and foundation, they only view the amiables as the nice people. There's no truth in that, not 1 ounce. We're not addressing the core values of the people. It's what are they comfortable doing. Now, if you're still unsure of who you are, let me now clarify and prove. All 4 social styles have alternate behaviors. What's an alternate behavior? It's the behavior that happens when you put them in a corner and don't let them up. When they lose their control, when they lose their cool, oh, there's a clear path for each one. And let's start with those alternate, out-of-control behaviors that tell you really who you are. Analyticals. If I poke an analytical, the first thing they're going to do is avoid. Carl, no, listen, Carl, Carl, stop. I don't want to go into that. That's not my department. You need to go talk to Louise. That's her job, not mine. Now you go there. They avoid. But if you keep poking them, they get autocratic. All right, that's it. That's it. We're done. Now you listen to me. This is what we're going to do, why we're going to do it, and there will be no further discussion. Is that clear? That's their alternate behavior. Now, let's go to the right. Notice it's just the opposite with the drivers. You poke a driver in the chest and put them in a corner and just keep bugging them, they're going to get autocratic. Do you know who I am? Do you read the plaque on the desk? Do you see what my job is? I'm in charge. I've already decided all this. We need to make no further discussion. Now you're going to do exactly as it was described to you in the meeting according to the minutes, and that's it. Am I clear? If I keep poking the driver, he gets up and leaves. That's it. I'm gone. I do not need to waste my time in this room with this table of people. I am sick and tired of going over this over and over, and I have made clear what we must do. It's my responsibility, and I'm taking it. I'm gone. And they leave. Okay? Let's get at the bottom, too. How about them expressives? Uh-oh. You remember those exciting people? Talk with their hands a lot, and come on, let's ride. Let's go together. Come on. When you poke them in the chest, they attack. And it can be pretty ugly. Did you really, let me get this straight, did you really order a hot dog with ketchup? If that's not the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Ketchup on a hot dog? Where'd you grow up? They attack. It can be silly attacks. But they tend to be very emotional in responding to getting poked. But what they also do is they quickly acquiesce. Before you even bite the hot dog, they go, I'm sorry. Forgive me. I had a rough night. Hey, listen, I'm going to try some ketchup on my hot dog, too. What do you think? They acquiesce. They attack. It hurts, but they kiss and make up quickly. The final, if you're not sure who you are, the amiables. They acquiesce. They do everything in the world to avoid conflict. We are not going to fight. Come on, relax, sit back, tell me what I can do to make you feel better. We're not going to fight. And you keep poking them. As nice and teddy bearish as those amiables sound, you know who else they are? They have the deepest bucket collecting stamps. They have the deepest bucket collecting stamps. I know of a fellow who's married to a woman who's an amiable. Believe it or not, in life, opposites attract in marriage. Drivers love to marry amiables. Expressives like to marry analyticals. In personal life, opposites attract for a very good reason. They complement each other's weaknesses. Okay? But this particular amiable wife, she got poked enough by her husband over some silly issue where the garbage cans were supposed to be kept, that she'd had it. He tipped over her bucket, and she unloaded. And when they unload, he heard about everything he did wrong in the past 31 years of marriage. How many dirty socks were left under the bed, who left the garbage, and who did this, and who did that, and oh man, it is tough, and there's nothing you can do to fix that but write it out. It takes an average of 3 days. But that's the amiable alternate behavior. So now, having shared the alternate behaviors and scenarios with you, let's see how we vote now. How many, by a show of hands, are analyticals? Okay, about the same. Drivers? Oh, 4. Oh, okay. We had a little change over here. How many are drivers? Okay, good. How about those expressives? Good. A few new ones. Good. Confirmation. Amiable, finally. How many are the amiables? Good. Okay. So now that you know the rules of engagement and the formations of our 4 elements, what is it important to know about dealing with these people. If you're dealing with an analytical, and you're an analytical, it's going to be natural. You don't have to stretch your rubber band. But what we do want to make very clear is that your job in dealing with any person in any informal or formal occasion, even your children, your husband, your wife, you better know who you are and you better know who they are. Again, by behavior preference. If you're working with analyticals, as it says here, you need to have all the facts, be prepared. Take your time, no risk. Stick to the job at hand. Don't waver. Remember, they're task responsive. They want to get the job done, but they want you to be ask assertive. Slow it down. Let's be relational. But these are the tips on stretching your rubber band. I can tell you, I had a boss, and remember, I'm actually referred to by my peers through studies as an expressive driver. I have secondary tendencies to be expressive, talk with my hands and use some emotion and try to motivate people, but driver's really my cave. That's where I live. Pardon me, my boss is an amiable. When I called John King up, when I was working in my field of endeavor, I had to take my time as an amiable. I had to ask about the 12 grandkids. How are they doing, John? What'd you do over the weekend? Did you watch the PGA golf tournament? Hey, by the way, did John get his job in Chicago, your son? I got to do it. I'm hating this. And I mean, I've got something important to do. I've got something I've got to do. I've got to hurry. I've got things to do. I never have enough time. Well, in this case, of 20 minutes, I spent 15 of them small talking, connecting, assuring, kumbayaing with my boss. He finally said, "Hey, what's up?" Did you hear that? He said, not me, he said, "What's up?" You know what that was? "Carl, job well done. Thanks for stretching your rubber band. You really are a caring person. You love my family as much as I do. But I'm cognizant of time and effect. I'm the vice president of this organization. What is it I can do for you now?" I got more done in 5 minutes with John than I would have done forgetting his family, forgetting connecting, forgetting the small talk, taking my time than what I did. You get this stretching your rubber band story? Now, if you're the opposite, if you're working for drivers, you got to make sure you stretch your rubber band. Make sure they know they're in charge. Hey, and it doesn't mean say, "Hey, I love your title." It's thanks for being in charge. Thanks for leading well. You're a great leader. I appreciate that. Bold leadership. Oh, thank you. What can I do for you? They're ready. Be fully prepared. Remain focused on the facts. Push for winning results. Be efficient with time. That's stretching your rubber band. Finally, with amiables, as you saw with me and John King, my boss, lots of small talk, connecting, being relational, really being concerned about the journey, how we're doing. Provide lots of time. There's no pressure. We're in it for the long run. Come prepared with facts and details. Okay? This is on your handout, by the way, and if you haven't received a handout, when I'm done in a couple minutes here, make sure to come up and get one if you don't have one. But all of this is on your handout, so you can refer back on how to stretch your rubber band. And then finally, expressives. Lots of energy. Go in prepared, be specific, print pictures, paint pictures, be a visionary. Very important you do that. Don't get bogged down. Keep people, we're in it for the team. Team. And let them lead. Expressives want to lead. They're not in it for their own glory. They're in it for their confidence of motivating others to do well. So there's your real lesson. You know who you are. Know who your people are that you're working with. And you can do it very quickly. Remember, how do they assert themselves? How do they respond? Are they ask, tell? Just listen to what they're saying. And on responsiveness, are they task or people? Very, very important. In closing thoughts and advisements, in business, birds of a feather stick together. I worked for a company for a number of years called PPG Industries out of Pittsburgh. A lot of you buy their paint at the store, and I was in their glass division. 30,000 employees. 42% of the management team of PPG Industries was analyticals. What was the problem with PPG? Slow to respond to market conditions. They couldn't get enough facts and figures. Ivy League, measure it, take low risks, and it cost them their entire company. They got eaten up by better balanced companies. Birds of a feather stick together. Watch out for that. In business, remember, drivers like to work with drivers, analyticals with analyticals. That's why that happens. In marriage, it's the opposite. Great marriages are great. My wife is a wonderful, amiable. I couldn't have made out life as I did. She looks at me and says, "Thank God for being a driver. I would have never been able to make a decision without you." And that's common. So that brought balance. She slows me down, remembers relationships, calms me down, and I keep things moving. So that's complementary in private attraction of different relationships. Be reminded that the population is made up of 25%, and it's not what you think of yourself that matters. What matters is what other people think of you. If you want to know who you really are, ask questions to people who you can converse with. Am I tell or am I ask? Am I task or am I people? It was amazing that 99% of the people that go through the 6-page questionnaire on identifying who they are by their peers' assessments, that many get it wrong. That many get it wrong. And again, coming to the fact of knowing who you are through others tells you how to be most effective when working with others. Very important. The value of each is critical. And here's a poem. For any successful organization made up of 2 or more people, drivers are the necessity to move the team ahead. They are the visionaries, they're the risk takers, and while they're leading, the analyticals are right along with them, measuring each step of the way. How are we doing? What are the results? What are the numbers? Where do we need to amend our ways? The expressives are right there with the analyticals, making sure the team stays motivated to follow the leader. Motivated, moving, we're going to win together. And the amiables are the caboose of the train, but the most important car. They make sure no one falls off. They make sure no one gets hurt along the way. So, hopefully today, in my quick half hour with you, you've learned a fascinating story. There's a lot more to be told on this if I can ever be of any help to you or your organization. Remember this, when it comes to unity of community, no one person has the best answer. But everyone has the necessity of input. That spells the need of diversity and appreciation of diversity and causing you to stay at the table. Know the people's social style, know yours, and stretch your rubber band and watch how many great things happen in a very short period of time. God bless you all. Have a great weekend together. And again, thank you for having me. I hope this was helpful today.